Have you ever needed a quick one-time function without writing an entire block of code? Well, that's where Lambda functions in Python come in. They let you create small anonymous functions in just one line. In this video, you'll learn what Lambda functions are, when to use them, and how they can make your code shorter and cleaner. Stick around because at the end I'll show you how they work with built-in functions like map, filter, and sorted. First thing about the Lambda functions that we're going to talk about is that they are anonymous functions. And what I mean from this is it doesn't need a name. So let's have some simple variable right here of x and equal that with the value of 5. And then let's say we want some simple function, which if you have not watched functions video, here is a card that you can click and go and watch that part. And here we're going to have this simple function. And for example, we want to name this x2. And here we're going to grab our number, and then inside of this, we simply want to return this number times 2. And of course here, if we have this simply print statement, and inside of this, we run our x2 function and give this x parameter to this. If we run, you can see we got this number 10, which is our result. But the way that we're using Lambda functions are a little bit different. We can use them here in our print instead of this. So we make this line's comments right here, and then here we come into our print statement, and here we're going to start writing our first Lambda function. And the syntax is like this. First, we're going to have this Lambda keyword, and then we're going to have our arguments right here, then our columns, and then the values that we want to return. So it's simply like this. These arguments are things right here in our default function, and the thing that we're returning is just this part right here. But pay attention, it doesn't need any creation, and you can use this here in your print statement. For example, here we pass this x, and on the return we want this x times 2. And now if we run, you can see we didn't got our result right here, because we should not use this lambda exactly in our print statement. I'm going to show you how to use that in different ways and built-in functions, but for now we can save that in some variable. For example, let's say we got this variable of func, and we equal this with this lambda right here. And pay attention, this x is different from this, and this as argument. So actually it's better to make this number instead of that x. And now here on our print, we simply have this func, and then we pass this x into our func. And now this time if we run, you can see we got our result of 10. And both of these types of functions, here is our default function and here is our lambda function. Both give us same result, but lambda is faster to write and very easier to maintain. But why we should use lambda function? Well, these functions are great for small temporary operations where writing def would feel like overkill. But don't overuse these items. If this function is complex, it's better to write in a normal function instead of lambda. But this helps when passing function as arguments to other functions. And basically it keeps the code clean when the logic is very simple. And in most of the functions that you receive some arguments and just you have some return in the function and nothing else, and you return some equations from that arguments, lambda function is very better way to go. As you can see here, we got some basic simple math operation, or we can have some checking conditions. For example, is even. So instead of having that as regular function, we're going to have this lambda, and here we're going to have is even, and then what we need to do is grab this argument of number, and then we divide it by 2, and if our remaining is 0, it's going to be even. And if we check it here, if we clear our output and run again, you can see we got this false. But if we make this 5 number 4, for example, if we run again, you can see we got this value of true. Another very cool lambda functions usage are in string manipulations. For example, let's say we want to have some function to simply reverse our string for us. So here we're going to grab our string, which I name it this word, and then here instead of this math, we want that word that we got, but we use this syntax, and you know here we got this start, end, and step. and we don't want any start and end here, so we make those blank, and on the step we make this -1. And here instead of 4 we have the simply word of Python, and if we correct the name here, so we got this reverse. If we run, you can see we got this string reversed in our output. But as I told you, one of the best usage, and actually the main reason that Lambda exists, is for using it when we want to pass some function into some other function, which we covered in the last part, which you can watch from the card. And here, let's say we want to have simple map function. So here we're going to have the simple list1, which holds these values from 1 to 5. And then let's say we want to double these items. So we're going to have this double, and we equal that with this list, and inside of this we have this map, and here we're going to pass the function for this and then our list, which is our list1. But here in our function, the old way that we does this is having another function here. For example, we got this function of f1 right here. Then here we're going to grab some variables, for example this a, and we're going to return this a times 2. And if we correct this name for our function, and actually we need to print this, so here we print this double right here. If we run this, you can see we got our result. But if we want to use Lambda, what we need to do is simply here, instead of this f1, we're going to put this Lambda keyword, and then we say receive some arguments, then return that argument times 2. And now this time, if we clear our console and run again, you can see we got the same result, but with very much easier and cleaner code, and all of the things is packed in only one line. But another built-in function that we can work with this is our filter function. And for that, what we need to do is simply change this map to this filter. And here, instead of returning this value, we say, for example, we want to return only even values. So we use again this x, and we check the remaining of that from the division of 2. And if it's 0, it means it's even, and it's going to return that value and that item for us. And now this time again, if we run, you can see we got our result with very much cleaner code. And of course, we can have for odd numbers too, and here is our odd numbers. But let's say we want to have some custom sorting for our list. And instead of having this list of numbers, let's say we have list of names. And here is our list of names, and we want to sort them based on their length. So what we can do is having the simply result right here, and then we equal that with this sorted method, which here we need to pass first the name of our list. So here we're going to have this list1 here, of course, and then we're going to separate that by comma. Then we're going to have this key, and we equal that with our Lambda function, which in our case here is our Lambda keyword, and we want this Lambda to grab each one of these items and names. So we have this name right here, and return the length of that item or name. And for that we got our length function, of course, and here we can have this name right here. And after having this, if we simply come here and print our result into our output, if we run our code, you can see we got our items sorted based on their length. We have this Bob, which have 3 characters, so we got this one at first, Alice with 5 characters at second, as well as David, which has 5 characters, and then we got this Charlie, which got 7 characters at the last. But pay attention, you should not use Lambda functions in situations like if your function has complex logic, because a normal def function is better for that. And avoid writing unreadable code just to make it shorter. Sometimes some large codes and block of codes are better to understand. But if we make those in Lambda and make them only in one line, it's hard to read and hard to manage. And at the end, Lambda functions in Python are a powerful tool when used the right way. They are perfect for short, quick operations, especially when combined with built-in functions like map, filter, and sorted. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notification bell to don't miss the rest of our Python crash course videos. See you in the next one.